So I'm going to keep everybody muted. If you do have any questions, we do some, there's a question section that you could ask any questions, or you could go to chat and ask me any questions there. We'll tabulate all the questions and we'll get them answered for you. If we can't do it during the presentation, we'll do it after the fact. So please make sure that you're asking any questions you may have, to be ready, to be prepared to, so we're ready to answer them for you. Well, we're up to 52. I think I should wait another 30 seconds here. 54. All right. As they come in, I like to be on time. And as everybody comes in, welcome. Thanks for taking the time today, everybody, to join us. We wanted to put this webinar together just to talk about working remotely and today's reality and what you need to know. Well, we learned quite a bit through this new reality, the new norm, and I wanted to go through it with you guys and show you our best practices and what we've learned and what we're doing differently and what we should be doing move forward. So to get started, this is what we're going to cover. We're going to cover the new normal, and I'll explain to you what I mean by that. And I'm going to show you different technologies that can be used for employees to connect remotely and other things to consider, including phones and collaboration tools, and especially cybersecurity if the remote worker are going to have to log in remotely and work, and what are they logging in with, and are they secure on their end? Are you under regulation? And if you are, does that fall to the remote worker, and how deep and what have you? So we'll get into that. And then our view of what the long-term strategy for a remote workforce needs to be. For us, we're looking at it as if we need to start looking at networks and redesigning the way that they are to be as nimble as possible, so that literally you could take your laptop with you, go anywhere with an internet connection, and be fully functional as if you're at the office. So we're going to talk about our best practices, our lesson learned, and we'll move from there. Before we get started, because we have quite a bit of people on, we're up to 61, I guess, right now. Some are clients, most are clients, some are not. But to introduce myself, my name is Ikram Masabini. I'm the CEO of MVP Network Consulting. My college degree is in electrical engineering. I've been an engineer for a long time. I've been in 20 plus years in IT, and I've been in healthcare IT for the entire time. I am a HIPAA consultant and auditor. I have quite a bit of certifications, and here's my email address. I'm always available for any of our partners with any questions or any concerns or anything that they need to discuss, especially during this time. So that's who I am. With this experience and what we've seen, things were a little different. So we'll talk now about what I see as the new normal. The difference is, and the questions that we've gotten were, all right, I need to work remotely. Well, most of our clients can already work remotely. So what's the new normal? The new normal is that before, it's only the executives, maybe managers, controller, had the capability to work remotely. We didn't have the secretaries be able to work remotely, or the executive assistants, or maybe executive assistant, but maybe not admin staff or accounting or what have you. We wanted these people to come into the office to function. Plus, from a security perspective, we don't want to give these people the capability to copy any of that data across or not be as secure as they need to be. And another thing we noticed is that phones, well, the phone call rings internally to your company right now. What's going to happen with that call when nobody's there to answer it? So we had to rethink the whole thing. We had to rethink on how a network is laid out, how communication is going to happen, because now we're not talking about, you know, your 5 or 10 executives that would be able to work remotely. If you have 50 people in your company, we're talking about all 50 being able to stay home and work as productive as they were before. And I think technology's there, but there are certain things that we got to be aware of and we need to be considerate of. And that's what I call the new normal, the new layout. So having said that, number one, we notice is that, you know, some people set up shop in their kitchen table or what have you, and then have to take everything out. We highly recommend setting up a work area, a home office area. If you're gonna work out of that office all the time, please make sure that it's an office, that you're able to go sit down, that you have your paperwork that you need. And some things that you should have, a small little checklist here, besides a printer, but make sure it can scan. Make sure that you have a computer with a webcam and speakers. Your phone that you're going to answer the phone calls coming through from your office, is it going to be a soft phone loaded on the computer or an actual phone that the company's going to give you? Do you have a high-speed internet? Is it secured? Do you have a desk and a chair, and you have everything that you need to work efficiently? I put this picture here because you could actually convert, and this is a desk I own, but you can convert any regular desk to a stand-up desk. Because if you're going to work from home, your commute is not large, you show up right away, and what everybody talks, because we're doing video conferencing, are you wearing pants? I promise you I am, but that's the idea here. The idea is to go to work, not just work from home, but feel like you're going to work. So get dressed up, put your suit on or whatever you wear usually for work, show up to your home office ready to perform for 8 hours, and also let your family know that you're here, and you'll be able to maybe have lunch with them, but you're still working and still functional, and has to be performed what your 8-hour work is. So number one is make sure that your home office set up properly and ready for you to function. But now that this is happening, companies have to think of a few things. The first thing is, do we buy a new PC laptop for those users that now are asking to go use remotely, or do we utilize something called BYOD, or bring your own device? Basically using the employee's equipment, which poses a risk. You know, do they have viruses on their equipment? Is there more than one person using that laptop or that machine that belongs to them? So their kids, and what kind of applications they have, what kind of security do they have? Or is it up to date? Do they have antivirus, anti-spyware protection running on it? Is all the patches where it needs to be? How about content filtering? If you have content filtering at the office, is that also at their location? And how can we really separate that? So decisions had to be made, and it depends on what your company is, and depends on your regulation. It also depends on the software that you use, because software sometimes work great through a connection like a VPN. Sometimes it can't work that well because VPN is a little slower. So then we start talking about a screen connect or a remote desktop session that you'd have to log into. So those decisions should be made way ahead of time. Obviously, we're in a rush to make those decisions now, because usually we had just remote users working. There were just the executives. Now we have to rethink the entire network and how that works. So whichever way you decide to go, there's ways to secure those, and that's stuff that we need to discuss and have that conversation. So if you're allowing BYOD for remote use, does it connect directly to your network? Is there layers of protection that we're going to put on there? Things to consider. So the first type of connection, if you will, we'll talk about is a virtual private network, a VPN. Most clients, this is how they use it right now. Off your firewall, you have a VPN license, you have a client VPN application loaded on your machine, you double click on it, connects a link, and it allows you to work. If you do that on a machine that doesn't belong to the company, all the security or any issues, once the VPN is connected, will travel across that VPN with that connection and infect your network. So cleaning your environment first and making sure which machine you're going to use and how is it going to be connected back is key. With VPN connectivity, it allows direct access to files and programs as if you're connected actually and working in the office, but because you're so far away, it may be slow for some applications. QuickBooks, for instance, does not work well over a VPN. That's something we recommend using remote desktop for, and we'll talk about that in a second. And not recommended for bring your own device, because anything on that device that does not managed and doesn't have things updated will travel across that VPN and affect the network. So things to consider. But if we combine VPN and remote desktop connection, which is a terminal server, and a lot of you guys use that already. You log in, it can connect you to your existing desktop at the office. So you're connecting via VPN first, making sure that that machine they use is secured, and then they're able to connect to another desktop, and that desktop could be their desktop in the office, or it could be a terminal server that they can use. With the remote desktop, there's apps for the iPhones, for Android, for the Chromebook, so you could use any device, and any device can be secured using those capabilities. And you have to also consider remote printing and remote scanning and and sharing of files and how that's going to happen now that you're always working remotely. The idea is to secure that connection. And then a third part for smaller organization, quick solutions are a third-party remote access application like LogMeIn and TeamViewers. They are now HIPAA compliant. They use two-factor authentication. So then you're able to log me in on your one machine at the office and use it that way. This is just for a quick hit to be able to get you connected. But this does not work for an entire organization to work remotely. Rethinking the way how a network is laid out and how we're able to be nimble and be able to jump on work environments from anywhere that we are with any device that we may have. And that's the idea here. And that's what we've been thinking about, phones included. The other thing is, can we move everything to the cloud? So let's talk about the cloud. For us, the cloud is basically another computer, but it's a computer that is connected in a data center. That data center is secured. It has disaster recovery and business continuity in place. It has text that sits right next to the equipment just in case something happened. So we like the cloud as a hybrid environment. I don't believe that everything needs to go to the cloud. That depends. It depends on your business and depends on what you're capable of. And if you're going to keep your office, yes or no? Are you going to always keep your people remote? A lot of people are now thinking about all the different options they may have. One of our clients said that now that everybody's working remote, he thinks he's more capable and getting more production from them that way, and he decided to always keep them remote. So that changes things. Things to consider is, how can we be flexible? How can we be nimble? And how can we be able to provide the network that you're used to, but from anywhere, at any time, not only PC, but phone and any communication you may use? How are you going to share files easier? How are you going to be ready for the new wave, the new normal? So cloud is a big piece of it. We recommend always hosting your servers in the cloud, and then we make a decision if hosting your desktop in the cloud are also necessary and capable. Depends on what you use. If you're only sharing Word and Excel files and QuickBooks, having your desktops in the cloud won't give you a huge benefit. But if you're also going to use other applications like CAD and an ERP application or EHR application, then having a full cloud desktop may be something to consider, depending on your application. And the reason why I'm saying that is some applications are built for the cloud. So we could use them off a single device, the end user's device, and get full functionality. Some applications like QuickBooks are not built for that. So you have to log into a different desktop or a terminal server. Some EHR applications are not built for that. If you use MedDent, it is built for VPN connectivity, and it's easy to work via any connection. If you use something like eClinicalWorks or Cerner, that's built through a very thick application, and you need to log into either a Citrix or a remote desktop connection. So really looking at all your applications and your servers and how you're laid out is what the idea here is all about. That's the conversation we need to have to discuss how we can make your network nimble, secured, and being able to work from anywhere and any place at any time with any device. That because of the time that we're in, hackers are taking advantage of this. I've seen a huge uptick in spam related to COVID-19. I've actually seen an email that said, find out if you have COVID-19 by clicking on this link. A new online test can let you know if you're infected. Don't click on that link. You'll have a lot of CEO hacks, people saying, hey, I can't work remote. I'm not in the office, obviously working from home. Can you send me $10,000 to this account? I need to pay this vendor. Make sure you're aware of who you're talking to. If you're not sure, please call that person back. Remote working is relying on emails. I prefer communication, face-to-face communication. Use tools like some of the ones that we're going to show you, and be aware of wire and ACH fraud. Hackers are on the rise, and they're taking advantage of this, everybody being working remote and being scared and being hungry for information on COVID-19 to use that. And it's not only emails and what have you you're going to get. We've seen hacks where people call you personally and ask you to do things saying, hey, I'm with MVP IT. at tech, and we're tech support, and I need to jump on your machine to do something. Now, if they're asking you to go, if they're not using our tools to log into your machine, they're not one of us. You know, we only use specific amount of tools. Our clients know what they are, know how we're logging in remotely. We're not going to use something new now. So be aware if somebody's pretending to be one of us, sending you somewhere else, what that is. Be aware of hackers, bad actors. They are going to try to take advantage of us every day, and we got to make sure that we're secured. So cybersecurity for remote workers is huge. You know, from hackers, I'll take you here. Every way to connect has its own set of concerns. So there's different ways to connect. We talked about VPN, we talked about remote desktop, we talked about, do we let the users use their own machine at their home or not? So things to consider here. If we're gonna allow them to use their own machine or even give them a machine ourselves, we gotta make sure that the same type of tools that we have loaded internally are also loaded on everybody else's machines at their home. So from multi-factor authentication when you log into VPN, so that it sends you a 6-digit number on your phone, so you have to enter that changes every 20 seconds, to encrypting everything that you have on your local machine at the house that you're working from. Your server may be encrypted, but we don't want to drag information out of the server and keep it unencrypted now because the machine that we're using it on is not encrypted. Add something like advanced threat protection. This is an anti-virus / anti-ransomware applications that also comes with a $1 million insurance policy if you ever get ransomware, if you have it. This is a level up from antivirus. You can keep both tools in there. So even though it does antivirus work, it does not work through definitions. It works through attributes, and it's a multi-vector. So it looks at how a virus works, not that the name of the virus exists in the definition, and that's how it works. So that's another tool to consider. Content filtering. If you have content filtering at the office, you should have it at home as well, especially on the machine that's connecting back to the office. So there's tools we load on those machines will push that content filtering across so that that machine that they're using is now more dedicated to work. And on that profile that they're in, obviously if they log in, somebody else uses those machines, we'll make sure that it's secured, but we prefer if the machine that's going to connect to your work remain a work machine. And so we've done this with another client where we actually installed a firewall at every single one of the users' home. That's the most secure way to do it. We can then, if they have 5 computers at home, only allow 1 PC to go through that tunnel, and that tunnel will be that PC will be the only one that can reach the network. So that way, if there is any issues on the user's network, it doesn't affect us, and it doesn't affect the network, the actual company's network versus the home network that they have. So certain things to consider at home. But having said all that, the one thing we haven't talked about yet is phones, because all right, so we moved your machine at home. Now we know how you're going to connect because we looked at your applications. We looked at what their needs are to connect remotely. Are we going to publish the app? Are we going to connect via VPN, then remote desktop? Are we going to put everything in the cloud and just connect through a browser to everything that we need? It depends on the applications that we use and the capabilities that it has. Another thing is phones. So from a phone perspective, when you left the office, the phone is going to ring at the office still. If you don't have a voice over IP solution, you weren't able to take your phone with you and take it to your home. Or you may have a voice over IP solution, and now you have to install a soft phone to make your laptop also a phone, so that we can add an app, and that app with a microphone and a speaker, you could make calls and still have the same functionality that you had at your office, but at home. So when the phone rings, it rings the secretary's house. Then that secretary is able to transfer, like she usually does, to somebody else. Well, guess what? That can happen from one house to the other. As a matter of fact, that's what we're doing here at MVP. I'm at home. Our offices are closed. We do have 2 people that show up in the office just to check mail and receive equipment as it comes in. Our entire staff is working remotely. Our help desk, 25 people are home. When you call in, it transfers from one home to the other. We are trying to, we're learning from this. We put everybody remote and see how it works, and it's been working well. And that's why we did this we're doing this webinar is to show you and teach you some of the pitfalls that we're learning and how to make it better. So another tool we use is collaboration in Microsoft Teams. So the best way, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit, Microsoft Teams is a very strong tool that allows for collaboration, video conferencing, sharing of documents, meetings, chats. So I'm going to show you an example. I'm going to, real quick, bear with me, get out this presentation, and I'm going to go to Microsoft Teams. And here's Teams. I'm going to call Ben, because I told him I would be calling him, as in what that would look like. So you see the call happening. He should be answering me soon. Hi, Ben.
Hi, everybody.
So everybody, this is Ben. He's home. He's working. So Ben and I are working. He may not. I have my camera is on the webinar, so Ben won't be able to see my camera on Teams, but he can see my desktop. He can see himself right now because that's the screen I'm sharing. So let's say I'm talking to Ben. That's as quick as the conversation can go. And while we're talking, I would like to add somebody else in the mix. I can then invite anybody in the company, like let's say Jamie. So I can add her here. So you could see that Jamie's now being called. And it's ringing for Jamie. And as Jamie comes in, now all of a sudden we can see each other, we can talk to each other, and I can come from here, hi Jamie, and I can share the desktop. So let's say I'm sharing my screen with Ben, so and Jamie. So as I shared that, they see the screen now, so they see the screen that you guys are seeing, and I can, if I'm working on a document, I can share that document with them. So I can come here and say, I need to share this document with everybody. I can send them the link. I can add Ben's name. Here he is. And I'll add Jamie's name. And I'm going to send them that link. They're going to receive the link automatically. But the beauty of Teams here is you could see Ben already received it and he logged into to this document. So Ben now can make changes and I can see his changes and he could see mine. We could actually work together on the same document at the same time while seeing each other and talking about it in real time. There's a lot of tools out there that will make you a lot more effective and give you a lot more capabilities. So working remotely, it's key to be able to share documents between your departments. And it's also key when you have a conversation to be able to see those people that you're talking to. It makes a big difference. I'm finding my teams here. Bring Ben back up, if you will. And Jamie, hi guys. Thanks for this. So from here, Ben can actually make the changes. I can see it. So can Jamie, because I sent her that link. And we could work together and we could have a chat going at the same time. So here's our chat, and there's quite a bit of information here. And then I can hang up on them. Thanks for your time. I'm going back to the webinar. So now I hung up on them and I go back to where we were. The idea here is to be able to work together and have tools to allow us to be secured, communicate, get the attention that we need. Because one thing we miss from working remote is the water cooler conversations, is the walk into somebody's office and ask them a quick question, is the meet somebody in the hallway and have a conversation that gives you an idea that allows you to do other things. Teams or Zoom or tools like this where you could actually share documents, share video, and work collaboratively have been a tool that I can't tell you how productive it had made us working remotely. This is what Teams would look like with a lot more people than just Benny and I and Jamie. And let's talk about sharing of documents. I showed you a little bit there, but with Office 365, or now called Microsoft 365, you could share documents as a server. However, you cannot share all documents. It works best for Office documents. You cannot use certain programs. So I cannot put a QuickBooks file on there. I cannot put other application like databases on there unless they're more of the Microsoft suite. So there is limitation to the Microsoft 365 when it comes to Office, but Microsoft is also offering a full desktop in the cloud. But do you need all that? Depends. It depends on your application. It depends on how you're built now. It depends of we have to have that conversation to see where you are, where you want to be, and what it will take to get you there. There's a million ways to skin that cat, if you will, but it depends on what you're using and how you're using it. The collaboration features in general for us are key to be able to work remotely and effectively. I actually see it as to be able to work effectively even when you're in the office. Start using this because you know, the person you may want to talk to may be in a second office or far away from you. Now all of a sudden, to be able to actually see that person and have that conversation, it makes a big difference. You know, the way we look at it is the future is a mobile workforce. The future is to be able to be anywhere and work in the same fashion you do at the office, as effective as you are anywhere with any device, whether being a thin client or a desktop or an iPad or a laptop. It doesn't matter what your end device is. It matters your application and what you're logging into and how you're logging into it. It matters your security. It matters your phone calls coming in. It's about work. It's about being available. It's about being connected. The ultimate long-term goal solution is for us to look at every single network, and some of them are very nimble already, but some of them will require some tweaks to be able to get you there and to be able to allow you to be flexible, mobile, and be able to work from anywhere. We live in Buffalo. Not only is the virus pushing this up, but in Buffalo we have inclement weather, lots of snow. Sometimes we can't show up in the office, and you close your office then. If we start thinking about making the network a lot more nimble, then even if we have bad weather, you can continue to work from home. It's about security, but it's about rethinking what a network can be and should be like. We don't want to spend for the sake of spending. So if you don't have the need, then that's why we have to have those conversations. It's if you have the need and how we're going to fill that need for the application you're using, the amount of users you have, and how you're laid out. Because of that, you know, it's not one quick solution. The next step here is when we're offering this for everybody that logged in, and if you're interested, feel free to click on, I'm going to, by the way, share this link with everybody in chat shortly. I'll do it right now. Feel free to click on this and sign up, but we're going to provide for a 30-minute consultation to discuss what we know about you, if you're a client, how things are laid out. We will discuss how we can work together, how your network should be laid out, what your plans are for the future, and what your plans are now, and what it would need to look like. If we need to change your network, if we need to look at the different phone solutions, if we need to look at security for people logging in remotely, what to look for, how to do it. That's what the consultation is about, is to sit down, ask you the questions, and then help you come up with a business strategy, move forward to make sure that you're as available and as secure as you can be. We've learned a lot, you know, when we first started pushing people remote, phones came in after the fact, and how is that going to happen? Are we going to forward the phones? Are we going to put phones on everybody's desk at their home? How are we going to connect them and secure them? Because all of a sudden these people, which probably are under regulation, and if they're in healthcare, they need to be secured and under HIPAA. We don't want to expose ourselves, but we want to give the flexibility to be able to work remotely at any time. Let me send that in chat for everybody, the link. So bear with me. So if you're interested in having this conversation with our leadership team, members of our leadership team, please click that link that I just shared with everybody, and you're right there and then able to fill out a small form so that we can call you back and schedule that call. Lots to discuss. I hope I wasn't too, it wasn't too much, but I do have a bunch of questions that came in. So let's see some of the questions. Are we publicly, are questions publicly viewable? No, they're not, but they are now because I'm sharing my desktop. So bear with me here. Is the team sharing on Microsoft? Well, that's all the questions. Yes, we did share the Teams on it's team sharing is through Microsoft. It's also HIPAA compliant and encrypted. Obviously, you have to have the right licenses and the right what have you. It's not wide open. You'll be able to send text, and then the Teams works great off a cell phone as well, so that you can have that team app loaded on your cell phone, making the calls through it and what have you. If you guys have any other questions, please let me know. If you have any concerns, I'm available at any time. My email is ikram, I-K-R-A-M, @mvpworks.com. Here it is again. Please feel free to call me at any time. And please go ahead and click on that link and register for the webinar. I tried to go as fast as I could. I didn't want to waste your time. I know we had it reserved for a full hour. I did it in half. The idea here is to start rethinking what the new normal is. Start thinking about your environment and how you want that environment to be, how flexible you want to be, how nimble do you need to be. When you click also on that link, and I'll take you there actually so that you could see it, we have quite a bit of resources on that page that will be very beneficial for you. So let me take us there. So this is what the page would look like. Should be able to see it. This is the form you're going to fill out. And then here's resources we have. We have a self-assessment tool, which is basically all the questions you need to ask yourself. So when you have a meeting with your internal staff, this is the stuff that you need to discuss. Are you ready? Our computers, our home computers and network are ready for remote work. And this is what we mean by ready. So there's a lot of business continuity plans, enhanced security measures, phone system. These are talking points, really. We want you to see those talking points to be able to discuss it with your staff and to be able to be prepared for the new normal, the new reality. The new reality is we have to be able to work from anywhere at any time, at a drop of a dime, so that we're still able to provide the services that we do, because we do help others, and to be able to be functional in a time of crisis like we are right now, which is I mean, I hope we're on the downslope here, but who knows? And I hope everybody's staying safe, washing their hands regularly, not going anywhere they don't need to go. Hopefully masks and tests will be more available to know exactly where we stand. The government's response is key, but we have to control our own environment. We have to control the environment that we're in and our own network and our own families and employees, and make them nimble so that we're available. And that's what the whole idea of this webinar today is, to be able to provide you some information, some talking points, and give you a 30-minute analysis so that we could discuss your applications, how you're working now, the pitfalls that you're in, and how you want to see and the options that you have to be able to work more effectively and more collaboratively from home. I'll leave it open for any questions that anybody may have. And please let me know. Let me see if anybody raised their hand here. Not yet. Yes, actually, Mark. Oh, you took his hand down. Mark, you have a question. Would you like to ask it? I can unmute you. Mark Meath. And Mark, you're unmuted. I will also unmute Kimberly. Catalano. So Kimberly, do you have any questions?
Yeah, just oh, let me turn my volume down. With the 30-minute consultation, you know, you don't know what you don't know. So we are a client with you, Western New York Blood Care, and sure. If we wanted to discuss what our risks are or what we might need, you know, after we figure out what our new normal is, would you be able, in looking at our accounts and what we have, to make recommendations? Because I sometimes I don't even know what to ask.
That's a very good question.
You brought up a lot of good points today.
Yeah, that's a very good question. I appreciate you asking that. Yeah, that's exactly right. If you're a client,
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Sorry. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Oh, yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, just making sure. Okay, so yes, that's exactly right. Because you're a client, we have visibility to your network. That's you know, that gives us quite a bit of information. And with that information and some questions we'll have for you once you come in, I just want you to think about what that new normal is, what pitfalls you're having now, and we'll be able to guide you through ways to get it done that will make you more effective. So yes,
Okay.
for sure, that's the whole idea here.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Mark, you've raised your hand again, so you're still unmuted, so speak whenever you're ready. But meanwhile, I'll get Aaron Hejmansky. Let me unmute you, Aaron. All right, Aaron, you're unmuted.
Okay, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. With all the news regarding the breaches with Zoom and Google banning it and the Senate banning it, do you recommend using that software or no?
I do. So listen, this is a SaaS application. Zoom is a good application. And yes, they did have a breach, but they've added additional security measure as soon as the breach came, where now they are forcing passwords and they are forcing multi-factor authentication with that option to have it. So I recommend using it, but put all the security measures that they put in place so that you're not at risk. Google banned it because Google have their own solution. Google has Google Hangout. They rebranded it to a different name so that, you know, it's now Google Workplace or something like that. Remote workplace. Is that's the idea that Google is trying to sell their own product. So they're trying to put fear on a different competitor's product. But I'm very familiar with Zoom and what they've done. And I think their CEO's response was right on point. Yes, they did have a breach, but we see why. And other applications had breaches as well. Zoom went from usually 10 million users to 200 million users in one weekend. For them to be able to expand like that, and yes, they did have some hacks, but they mitigated that. So yes, I do recommend it.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, I'm gonna mute you again. Next would be Catherine Griffin. Hello. How are you doing, Catherine? You're unmuted if you want to say something.
Can you hear me?
I can. How are you?
I can't hear you. That's okay. I'll just ask the question.
Okay.
So we're having problems with our clinical team being able to reach our clients due to using star 67 for blocking their personal phone numbers. So you mentioned that there was an app that we can put on desktops that they could work from.
Correct. Yes.
Is it Zopier?
So we can definitely do that, especially with the phone system you have. You're a client, you've been a client for a while, obviously. So yeah, there is capabilities where then they can use an app. They will need on their machine though to have a microphone and a speaker to be able to hear it, but then they'll use that app and then the number pulsed out will be your DID or your regular phone number that your patients are used to seeing once that you call them from the office. So we can make it work the same way, and that way also the employees don't have to use their personal cell phones, right? We have that capability to provide for you if you want it. So you should sign up definitely for the 30-minute conversation. We should all get on the phone and discuss that need.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. Does that answer your question? Do you have any other?
No, it answers my question. I was just wondering if it was Zopier.
Zopier, yes, that's the application for that tool. Yes, it is.
Okay. I have it on my personal phone, and I have had some issues with it, but I was playing around with it today with another person that also has it on their phone, and it seemed to work okay. I'm just curious what the connectivity is when people have poor internet connection, because some of our people live in remote areas.
So think of it this way, it's a conversation. So if you're able to make a call off their cell phone, but instead of using their cell phone, they're using Zopier, and then they can use their LTE connection. It should work just as well as their regular phone conversation. because
Okay,
it's the
we'll
same
sign
model.
up.
Sounds good. We'll discuss it in detail and show you other options as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, next, Kimberly, did you raise your hand again? Or did I not take that off? I probably did not
Yes.
take. Oh, you did raise your hand again. Go ahead.
Yep, I just want to piggyback off the question about Zoom.
Okay.
I'm sure other people have received it, but we got an email today listing all the updates and improvements that Zoom has made. And there's also a webinar this afternoon at 2 o'clock to discuss those.
Correct. Thank you. Yes, you're right. They've done quite a bit to secure that application. And so has Microsoft Teams, and so is Google. They did not have all that stuff. They've added additional security products. And it's what it is. When you go from 10 million users to 200 million users in one weekend, you're bound to have issues. I got to give it to them. They were able to handle the volume. The solution does work well. I mean, everybody's using Zoom, it sounds like. We use Teams internally because it comes with Microsoft 365, and that's the tool we use. And I like the collaboration of documents within Teams better. But Zooms have some capabilities. For instance, in Teams, I can only see 4 people talking at the same time, not everybody. There's some differences. However, I like both solutions. But thanks for letting everybody know that, Kimberly. I'm going to mute you for now. If you have any other questions, please raise your hand. Let's see if anybody else is left. Aaron, I don't know if you re-raised your hand, but I'm going to unmute you. Aaron, do you have another question?
No, it was just the Zoom question. I'm good.
Oh, okay, sounds good. Okay, I don't have any other hands raised. The link should be in the chat. Please sign up. It's going to be first come, first serve. We're going to do our best to schedule it as soon as possible. It's going to be probably a Teams meeting, and we're going to do it all remote and see each other's faces and talk about what you have and what the best way to make you more productive. I hope you guys found this beneficial. We really thought about what we're going to present and how to talk about the different security concerns we have, but different ways and how technology can help. But I want you to think that this can happen again, hopefully not because of a virus. It could be weather, it could be other things related. If this happens again, let's now start to think about what this new normal is, what this new network that needs to be like, and what we need to do to make sure that we're ready for anything that comes our way. So without further ado then, please sign up, and I hope everybody's staying safe and everybody's staying working. And because I know a lot of you are in healthcare and you provide services that are needed, you're at the front lines. My hat off to you guys. We have some of our techs that have to go still to hospitals and have to go to doctors' offices, and we've given them all the tools we can, including masks and disinfectant wipes, because they are in the front lines, they are working in where COVID-19 patients are. But we understand the importance of the work that we do, and we want to make sure that you are ready for the next steps and you are ready for the future, because it's a different future. But we're going to come out of this ahead. I'm optimistic that after all this, we'll be better for it, and we'll learn from this. So thanks everybody for all your time, and as people start to drop off now, I'm available. I'm going to stay open till 1 o'clock if anybody has any questions. By the way, we're going to have a recording of this posted on our website and under MVP University and webinars. So you'll feel free to share that and talk about it with anybody that is working for you. And remember, wake up in the morning, go to work, even though you're working from home. Get ready, get dressed, show up, and let your family know that it's time to work. And you'll find yourself productive if you use the right tools, but we'll talk about security and what we need to worry about after the fact. Looking forward to talking to some of you about this. All right, everybody. We only have 21 people left. I'm glad you guys hung out with us. If nobody has any other questions, we're gonna wrap it up so we can go back to work. And we'll be looking forward to talking to each one of you about what that future looks like. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks for joining us. And if you have any advice about this webinar and the way it was presented, or if you want to see something different, or if you want to see a webinar about a specific subject, please let us know as well, and we'll be more than glad to put something together to be able to get you the information that you need. All right. Mark, you do have a question. I just noticed it here, and so does Sarah, so sorry about that. Let me see. Is the consultation free? Yes, it is. The consultation is free. We're not charging anybody for that. As a matter of fact, we're here to help. Is it okay? For next, is there any additional costs associated with team sharing? If you have the right license from Microsoft, no, there's no additional cost to that, but you have to have the right license. Are you going into my office work home now? Are you actually going into my office workers home now? We might be. I'm not sure who's on the schedule. So Mark will have to check that for you. Donna, is Zoom secure? We answered that question. Jeff, Dan, well done webinar. Where do you get Microsoft Teams? Microsoft Teams is part of the Microsoft Office 365 offering. And Teams is also available for a free download to be able to chat among different personal Microsoft accounts, but for a corporation, we recommend it set up properly and have the right security in place, Jeff. Doug, can I have multiple monitors connected to my laptop? Yes, you can. And especially if you're working remotely and you're used to that at the office, you should definitely have multiple monitors running. And what's the best way is usually I like a laptop, so I connect the docking station with 2 monitors in the back of it and I plug my laptop in. But think of it as whatever, the same way you have it set up at the office, you'd have it set up at home. Mark, what is the fee for the consultation? Yes, that's free. I'm sorry I didn't answer your questions before, but it is free. And you could hear me fine. I appreciate that. Are you actually going into my office workers home now? Again, I think that's yes, a yes, but I'll check the schedule. And current state gets you to the future state. I agree with that, Ben. The current state that we're in, improved, will get you to what the future state needs to be, move forward. I hope I answered everybody's questions now and got everybody to where they need to be with the last 10 attendees that we have. I appreciate you. I thank you. Sounds like we reached 101 attendees today, which is a great, it shows that people are working from home, but not only that, start to think about and realize what needs to happen. And please sign up so that we could help you with the next steps. Thanks, everybody. And everybody have a great day. Signing off.